Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. This is Courtney, the Marketing Coordinator here at AIM. Today's webinar will be recorded and later posted on our website. This does mean that all attendees will be automatically muted so that we can get a quality recording. If you do have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type them into the chat box, and we'll try to answer them throughout the webinar. But if we're unable to get to all of them, we'll have a member of our marketing team reach out to you individually and make sure that we get those questions answered. Our newest agent resource, the 2-Minute Minute, is in full swing. Our marketing team is bringing you quick ways to talk to more prospects, write more business, and grow your agency. We're posting new videos every week, so check out our social media pages, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube to see what you might have missed. Some episodes even reference exclusive offers, so you're going to want to check it out. We do have webinars every Wednesday morning, so keep an eye on your email for the next invite coming your way. With that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Dawn so that we can get started this morning. Go ahead and take it away, Dawn.
Thank you, Courtney. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's well this morning. I know here, crisp 39 degrees. We're ready to rock and roll. Again, Dawn Erickson here with AIM. With us today, we have a very special guest from OneAmerica, Bridget Collins, the Regional Account Director. Today's webinar, we're going to be going over getting prepared for Long-Term Care Awareness Month with OneAmerica. With that, good morning, Bridget. How are we today?
Good morning, Don. Doing well. Doing well.
Great to hear. Yeah, this is something that, getting ready and prepared for long-term care. There's a lot of options, and OneAmerica is one that has been a great fit for us for quite some time now. So I just kind of wanted to introduce you, and we can kind of get into it, and you can talk about it a little bit, and then go right into it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Again, Bridget Collins, the Regional Account Director with OneAmerica. So what I wanted to do today is take you guys through some excerpts of our long-term care consumer planning study. So we partnered with Hanover Research last fall, and we conducted a consumer survey, and it was kind of doing a pulse check from the consumer's perspective on everything that they may or may not know about long-term care planning, long-term care insurance, and what their thoughts are in terms of an extended care event happening to them or to their family members and what they think. And, Dawn, the folks at AIM, and myself, we talk about long-term care planning every single day. So some of this is not new for us to hear or know, but it may be new for some of you that are joining us this morning. But additionally, it's a reminder for Dawn and myself that, there's still a lot of opportunity for education. There's, I think, a lack of awareness, that we can capitalize on from a consumer perspective as far as letting our consumers know, our clients basically, what options are available to them. But it all really just starts with having the conversation. And as Dawn mentioned, Long-Term Care Awareness Month, the month of November is dedicated as Long-Term Care Awareness Month. And so while we want you guys to be talking about long-term care planning, all day, every day, 365 days of the year, if you have not focused on it or have not dedicated the time to it, if no other time, then as we head into Long-Term Care Awareness Month, our ask is to do it now. Certainly, there's going to be, from long-term care insurance carriers' perspective, a lot of marketing that you'll start seeing on, social media, probably via email, other media outlets talking about what long-term care planning is, what long-term care insurance may or may not be, the different options that are available, and et cetera. So I always try to be hyper-focused, especially in October, so that I can help guide you with a plan of action so that when you get to November, you actually have everything in place to execute whatever you've committed to from a long-term care planning perspective. So again, what I'm going to show you now is our excerpts from our consumer planning study. There's a lot more to it. In the corner of the slides is a barcode that you can take a picture of, or that you can save, or you can scan into, that will open up the entirety of the consumer planning study. It's also accessible on OneAmerica's website. I highly encourage you to go out and take a look at it, because it is informative. So let me just go ahead and take us right through and get us started with it. Kind of see what I did here. So again, partnering with Hanover Research on this, we had 978 respondents. Our respondents were at least 40 years old, currently sort of thinking in terms of planning for the retirement era. and that they didn't have anyone in their immediate family working in insurance. That was important, that we wanted to establish that baseline. So the first thing that I pulled out is less than half of the surveyed customers have worked with or plan to work with a financial professional on a retirement strategy. So less than half. That was a bit of a staggering number for me, thinking in terms of, I mean, I'm 47, I'm about to be 48, my husband's 53, and we're certainly talking about planning for retirement and what that looks like. If up to my husband, he would retire tomorrow. But, you know, all of the planning that goes into that so that we can continue to live the lifestyle that we have today while we're in retirement, I can't imagine trying to do that on our own without a financial professional's help. So a little eyebrow raising that half didn't plan to work with a financial professional, and that's okay, but I think that there's opportunity for us to help guide clients that we're working with and get referrals of their friends, because they may have the friends that are thinking in terms of this. But additionally here, you know, nearly a third have researched long-term care planning options, but only 16% have actually implemented a long-term care plan. And I was actually pleasantly surprised to see the 16% of those that we surveyed have implemented a long-term care plan, because I've said this all year long, so you've probably heard it before and it's not new for the industry, but there's only about 10% market penetration, meaning that only 10% of people over the age of 65 actually have a long-term care insurance policy in place, which is a really low number. All things considering that probably about 25 years ago, that number was about 8%. So it tells me there's a lot of opportunity out there, a lot of opportunity for all of you, but for our survey's purposes, 16% have implemented a plan. So that's a little bit better than the 10% of the national number, but just for you to be aware of how they responded to that. The other thing I pulled out, long-term care insurance and using current assets are payment options that most consumers know. However, many of them were unaware of other payment options, and fewer than half were aware of payment options with familiarity, with high familiarity, meaning, you know, using current assets and not sort of thinking in terms of which asset they might utilize to pay for a long-term care event. So they sort of know that there are options out there, but they really haven't executed any sort of personal plan for themselves or their family on what their plan is. The other thing here, more than a third of the consumers have no current long-term care plan related to payment options, and very few consumers have any form of long-term care insurance. Like I just told you the national number, so it's not surprising that that they don't have long-term care insurance, that they may not really be aware of the options that are out there when it comes to long-term care insurance or long-term care plans. And that the most common payment option that they would be considering are current assets, savings, life insurance, retirement accounts, and our current income streams, which is all fine as long as they've executed that plan as far as, you know, noting, like in writing, what asset they want their family potentially to look to first to pay for their care, but let alone maybe being able to take that asset while they're still healthy and turn it into, you know, leveraging it and turn it into greater long-term care insurance and greater protection via the different options that are out there, OneAmerica being one of them. The next thing, consumers tend to expect their partners to provide long-term care and foresee receiving such care at home. I mean, I can attest to this firsthand, and I think for many of us in the industry, this is absolutely no surprise. Most people, especially my parents' generation, you know, expect, even if it's not explicit, but they expect that their kids are going to be the ones that take care of them or help with the care, you know, but even more importantly, it's their spouses. Yeah, my dad fully was on board that my mom was going to take care of him, and she did, all the way up until the point where she physically couldn't do it anymore, and the toll that it took on her to reach that point. So all of the things that we talk about in our industry every day, but it's still prevalent that the expectation is that the families are going to take care of their loved ones and that they're going to be able to stay home to do it. I was doing a meeting literally yesterday where we were talking in terms of the cost of care. We have a cost of care survey, and there are others that are put out in the marketplace. but understanding that consumers really don't know what the cost of long-term care or what the cost of extended care can be until it's kind of put in front of them. So understanding if you want to stay at home, that's great, but depending on your level of care, you can't, who you need to hire to come into your home. It's just going down the knowledge train of what that actually means. But as far as what consumers think and what's in their minds for all of us to be, cognizant is that they want to be at home and they kind of expect that their family members are going to take care of them. So, how do we take that knowledge and turn it into a better plan for them and their family?
Yeah, with saying that, Bridget.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to jump in there.
No,
and like you said, everybody I've ever talked to, and I sell insurance too, they all say they want to stay at home. I mean, they don't want to, and no one wants to go to a nursing home, period. It's just, they don't expect to. They think their family's going to take care of them. And families don't even, people when they're trying to talk about long-term care, they think that their family's going to take care of them. And firsthand knowledge, I tell you what, knowing that it can only get to a certain point and the stress levels and becoming caretakers instead of spouses or siblings or any of that stuff. Firsthand knowledge, I tell you what, I've seen it. And when it becomes when they need so much more care and it's 24 hours a day, I mean, there's a lot of different things that build up to it. But just getting some benefits that can have someone come in and help the family. I mean, they don't have to be huge, but I mean, some of the plans we've designed, I mean, the hybrids and everything, they make it so much more stress free to where people can help. But at some point, we don't wish it on anybody, but if they need more care and they have to go into a facility, which is tough. My daughter is actually in a nursing program, and one of her things is she has to go and do so many hours in nursing facilities. And you should hear some of the stories. It's just crazy about some of the stuff, but no one wants to go there. But you want to make sure you have the benefits. If you need them to go there, you can have proper care while you're there also. That's just something I know firsthand. So, and she said she's going to take care of us. I mean, she's becoming a nurse. She goes, "Oh no, I'll take care of you when you guys get older. You guys are going to move in with me." I said, "No, we have our policies for that reason, so you guys don't have to do that for us." So that's just my take on it.
And the thing I would add there, Dawn, is I'm obviously in the long-term care insurance business. So I'm not, a healthcare provider, but my parents sort of had this expectation, not explicit because it was never talked about really, that my brother and I, would help and take care of them. But as I said, not explicit. There was never a conversation. And while I would bend over backwards for my parents and do everything possible, I have to admit, because of the stress level that was super heightened, all the way up until, unfortunately, we lost my dad in June. I was like, you didn't ask me. I'm like, literally, I'm if you could see me right now, I'm literally raising my hand. Like, you didn't ask me, if I could, we did not have a conversation about any of this. And I never would have said no, but it would have been a lot easier on all of us if we had established a plan. And I'm in the business, and I didn't even really do this with my own parents, but established a plan of action on how things were going to be executed. Unfortunately, my dad had dementia, so he was also the decision maker. So because we didn't have the conversation when he was able to have it, my mom was very afraid and nervous to make any decision about anything regarding his care. And so it just became, I think, an unnecessary stress on all of us. But I have to, and personally, and I'm not want to make it about myself, but about me as the daughter, as, hey, I have a husband and children and a super busy life, and had thoughts of wanting to maybe leave the geography that we live in just to have a different life experience, but I couldn't because my parents were, all of those things. So it just really reverts back to, as insurance professionals, financial advisors, however you want to quantify yourself in this business, the importance of having these types of conversations and the stress that we can take away from the clients that we're working with. And it's all of it, right? It's talking about the assets, talking about protecting those and protecting their income and protecting their lifestyle, and then also protecting their family. I mean, I cannot stress how super important it is. And these statistics that I'm showing you are enlightening of what, this survey was done last year, right? I mean, this was just last year. This wasn't 20 years ago. This was last year. And this is what people think.
So if we can get that survey too, that could be a good thing to, get out to people. So if you want to shoot that over to me, sometime. So.
Yep, I will definitely do that. Most consumers would expect personal savings or Social Security, Medicare to pay for care. 100% they think that. My mom absolutely did. She did not understand the limitations on Medicare and the Medicare Advantage plan that my parents had, which is a whole other situation that we could talk about on a whole other webinar. But not understanding the limitations, and that when the time was up, and it was, up to them to figure out what was going to be next. My dad was in a facility, and I found the facility. Of course, I'm going to put my dad in the best rated facility I could find in the area. It was $550 a day.
Yep.
Not
exactly
super sustainable, out of pocket. And let me tell you, the care on a A+ 5-star rated facility and a very, high net worth area was subpar at best. If we could have brought my dad home sooner, we absolutely would have. Unfortunately, he lost the feeling in his lower extremities, and so he was not mobile, and so he was not able to get in and out of bed without help. But let me tell you, Don, to your point, what you said a few minutes ago, people don't want to go into a facility, and let me tell you, you don't want to put a family member there. It's not a safeguard. It's not a good feeling. So when you can give them options to allow them to stay home in the event that they can, it's important. But that folks still think Social Security and Medicare is what pays for an extended health care event. They have no idea what the limitations are on those. And so we've got to make sure that we do our best to educate them so that they understand. Nearly 3/4 of consumers have not researched long-term care insurance options. And this is an interesting one because I can kind of put my personal thoughts on this about why they haven't. Somehow long-term care insurance still hasn't become as much of a sort of a necessary insurance in people's either retirement planning or just planning in general. Not that life insurance or annuities are necessary, but somehow they have a greater level of importance than long-term care insurance does. And Dawn, I think you and I would both argue that we have to change that narrative. We have to make long-term care insurance just as important as any other asset or insurance that anybody might buy, because if they don't and don't have a plan, and arguably we would say probably insurance is the best plan to put in place. But if they're not planning for it, then it's going to be a problem. And we've you and I both have lived stories with that, and I'm sure a lot of folks on the line have as well. But they haven't researched. But for those that have, they're looking at price, level, length of coverage, and they're really not understanding the options that are out there. And that leads into this next one, where among consumers aware of long-term care insurance, only 1/4 are aware of alternatives to traditional long-term care insurance. So we talk about in terms, OneAmerica is an asset-based long-term care solution, hybrid, linked benefit. I think they're synonymous with each other. What those, asset-based or hybrid solutions are in comparison with traditional long-term care. I'm an advocate for a plan and insurance. So if traditional long-term care insurance is what makes the most sense for the clients that you're working with, fantastic. But just know that consumers don't know what options are out there. And traditional long-term care insurance, unfortunately, because of the rate increases and, what's happened with that industry over the last, 15, 20 years, if they've done any research, long-term care insurance, probably the first thing that comes up on Google is, massive rate increases, right? So they're not necessarily, they're researching just like anybody else would online, and they're not understanding that if you just change the words to, long-term care solutions or asset-based solutions, all of these other things come up that sort of safeguard some of the pitfalls that traditional long-term care insurance has. So again, opportunity for all of us to be able to talk to consumers, to talk to our clients about all of the different options that are available out there, all of the different long-term care solutions, and see which one makes the most sense for those clients that you're working with.
That's very well put. I mean, there's many solutions. It's just the right fit for each client, and that's what we preach that. I mean, you want to make sure that when you're working with a client, that the fit is exactly what they need, and that's the bottom line. You want to make sure that's what it's all about, them and what they best fits them. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well put.
Absolutely. I think the days of running illustrations, the same plan design for every client that you're going to talk to about long-term care planning. I don't know that I would have ever agreed that those days existed, but if they did, and I remember running such quotes, those days are gone. I mean, every client it needs to be individualized. It's sort of the discovery process that we all have to go through when we're talking to our clients about planning, because you'll find what it is that's important to them. You'll find how they intended to pay for an extended healthcare event in lieu of insurance. You'll find sort of where the assets live and where you might be able to take that and leverage it, up to 4 times the amount to buy them a long-term care insurance policy, something that they didn't even know was available to them. So just, again, it's just understanding the minds of the consumers as early as last year, what they're thinking about in terms of long-term care insurance. So asset-based long-term care protection's most appealing features help address financial concerns. So in the course of this survey, I don't have the questions that we asked, and I think the survey actually does have all of that data in there if you really want to get into the weeds. But this leads me to believe that we did sort of, are you aware of, flexible funding sources? Are you aware of tax-free benefits? Are you aware of guaranteed premiums? That they really didn't know a lot about the options that are out there, just to reiterate that. But that when they started to hear some of the things about what asset-based, hybrid, or linked benefit solutions can provide, they were very intrigued. Everything sounded like something that they would like to learn more about. So just continuing on with the education piece. So again, that was just a snippet of the survey. Don, I'll certainly get that to you. I thought I had the barcode in the corner of the slides. It looks like it wasn't there. No problem. I'll get it to you. It's just not enlightening. It's just a good reminder of the opportunity that we all have to talk about long-term care planning with our clients and try to figure out how we integrate that conversation into every conversation that we have. And what OneAmerica just did a couple of months ago was launch our storytelling ability with Insight. So I am super excited to talk to you guys about this. I'm not sure if anybody on the line, or Don, if you guys have had a lot of opportunity to take a look at the Insight storytelling, but what we did is we incorporated this into our full illustration tool. The way to access this is by logging into OneAmerica's portal and then running an illustration that way. And what you'll see is, and I think I have some of the slides here to show you, you'll see this sales presentation in green button. And if you click on that, it populates, I would argue, everything that anybody on this line would need, whether you're super familiar with long-term care insurance and OneAmerica solutions or not. Everything that you would need to run your client through why you're talking about long-term care planning, what long-term care, what that means, what it means as far as the different levels of care, how much it costs, the cost of care. I mean, everything. You do not need any other marketing piece that we produce if you use the Insight storytelling feature in our illustration tool. I'm actually going to live demo it for you in a minute. Go ahead, Don.
Oh no, that's that's huge. I mean, but you actually have to log in. So you need to be contracted and have your first piece of business to go into the portal, correct? So you can do that.
We are,
this part of it. You
yeah.
Can't do the back. There's a shorter, quick quote calculator, but to actually see this with that Insight piece for that sales presentation, you have to be in the portal, correct, for OneAmerica?
Yep. Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to be in the portal. It's only available on the iPipeline, which is through the portal. We are behind the scenes working on anybody who may not be contracted with OneAmerica, trying to figure out how we can get them access to this. So that is in the works. But in the meantime, if anybody on the line is not contracted with OneAmerica, all you need to do is reach out to Dawn or the folks at AIM, or myself and my internal, and we can absolutely include the sales presentation for you. It's a really awesome feature. And again, I'm going to show it to you in just a second. The only other caveat I would put out there is that this is not available in California yet. The reason for that is California is on the older version of our asset care solutions. And because of that and the expense to try to add those in, when we're keeping our fingers crossed that we will have, the updated asset care available in California, hopefully sooner rather than later, California isn't there. And it's just our asset care, single premium and recurring premium solutions that are in Insight right now. Our qualified solution should be available in Insight. I was told probably sometime first quarter next year. That's our next release. Annuity care is not in Insight yet because we are looking to revamp our entire annuity care product suite early next year. Once the product suite has been revamped, and there's some really cool stuff coming, and that's all I can say about it. Once we've done that, we will look to upload our annuity care suite into Insight as well. So today, again, it's single premium, recurring premium, asset care solution, but it's pretty cool. These are some highlights, but I want to just jump right to the screen where I can take you in and show you this demo. Let me make sure I tested this morning to make sure it would work for our purposes today. But I was blown away when I saw it. We're the only asset-based carrier, long-term care carrier actually at all, utilizing this. They actually built it using us, but it's not proprietary to OneAmerica. So we're pretty confident other carriers are going to jump on board and jump into this as well. I mean, we did the heavy lifting, if you will, but I think we'll have the monopoly on it probably for at least about 6 months or so, and then you might see other carriers. But again, I said this, and I'm pretty transparent about it. I am a fan. I'm an advocate for long-term care planning. There, with 10% market penetration, there is plenty of fish in the sea for every carrier to just implode from influx of business from everybody on the line and anybody who sells long-term care insurance. So if you sell it with OneAmerica or Nationwide or Securian or Mutual of Omaha or whatever floats you and your client's boat, I am perfectly fine with that. I always feel like when we get to the point of this company or that company, we're all winning because we've gotten to that point and we're about to make a decision for the best interest of the client. So I'm all in, but for now, OneAmerica sort of has this on the monopoly on this storytelling feature, but it makes telling the illustration or showing the illustration a lot easier, I think, and conceptually from the consumer standpoint. So what you'll note here is in the top right screen, the C quote, but the quote never goes away. The quote that you're accustomed to lives right here. And when you're using this feature, it is interactive. You can download a PDF. Obviously, if you download a PDF and email that to your clients or whatnot, you take away the interactive features. Perfectly fine to do whatever makes the most sense for the clients that you're working with. But if you're doing, if you're table side by side with them, you can do it virtually. If you're doing a virtual meeting where they are sitting somewhere else, they have their own personalized link that you send to them that they receive it open, and then they see this sales presentation, if you will. So it's asking the questions that we've talked about many, many times. If you may not need care, but what if you did? Here's the considerations. So it talks about spouses, children, the family dynamics, telling the story of, what happens when you have an unplanned for event. 2 impacts to consider: retirement income, the length of care. Talks about life expectancy, the likelihood of needing care, how many are living with cognitive issues in this country, impacted care expenses. So it talks about, how it's going to affect your income over time. You can move the needle here. I think this one, maybe it's not this one. There's another one I can move. I'll show you. The cost of care survey. So I'm not going to click through the links for our purposes of today's call, but just know if you're playing around with it, this is defaulted to the state of Washington. And this, when it says the average cost for long-term care in Washington, this is taking all levels of care, home care, nursing home, assisted living across the state and blending it into this one number. We all know in most states, depending upon where they live, there could be a huge disparity in cost. But you can click through to see more details and narrow it down to the city that your clients live in or the biggest city that's closest to them, and what home care actually is and what a skilled nursing facility looks like. So that cost of care survey, everything that you know of as far as the data points, being able to click through it right here directly from the story. So if you need care, how are you going to pay for it? You guys have probably seen our bucket approach, right? Where we kind of show, if you were to take, if you use qualified monies, it's, $1.40. If you use non-qualified asset, it's $1.20 for every dollar of coverage, kind of a thing, kind of outlining where insurance. Oh, sorry about that.
Did it kick you out?
No, it did kick me out, but I was not aware of a test of the emergency system this morning. So I don't know if you guys got that. Oh, I apologize. This is real time, guys, right? This was an earthquake detection. So I am in California and I am in the San Francisco Bay Area. I did not feel an earthquake, but that's what that emergency alert was for. Wow.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Like we're live, so I mean it happens. You never know what you're going to get, right?
You never do. I'm not ducking and covering because I literally don't feel anything. But wow, okay, so we know that the system works.
So she's not under the table, so she's still.
Oh my gosh, if you guys could have seen my face. I mean, I was doing a meeting a couple of weeks ago when they had the national alert. I think we all got that. And so I prepped my audience in with face-to-face meeting. I said, hey, you guys, in about, 30 minutes, all of our phones are going to go off. It's okay. We'll just take a breather at that time. And sure, ironically, we didn't all go off at the same time anyway, but I divert our conversation there. But if I can get back to our bucket approach anyway, just sort of outlining the value of insurance right here in the presentation tool. I'm going to keep going down here just so I can show you what this looks like. Who is OneAmerica? Some of your clients might not be as familiar with who OneAmerica is, how long we've been in the industry, what our ratings are. Goes into the planning for the benefits here. So it talks about, the first insured, and these folks, I believe they were 60, and so this projects out if they were 80 and 82, how much is going to be paid out in benefits on their behalf. Just kind of going through all of it.
This is just a great tool to have. I mean, hello.
Oh yeah.
What else do you need? It tells you everything, like you said.
Yep, and you can change the ages as you're going through this. If your clients want to see, well, what if it looks like if I'm 90, or I have a family member that's lived until 100 and want to see what that looks like. You can change all of those numbers. This illustration was run with lifetime benefits. If you ran it with a limited benefit duration, it would show it here. So whatever you ran from an illustration standpoint, just talking about, length of claim and what we're seeing from an industry standpoint. A lot of the data points you guys have seen in multiple different marketing pieces, but like I said before, it's all in one piece. You don't need anything else. There's nothing else you need to send. Talking about, how much potentially would have been paid out for these folks if they claimed that, if they started their claim in 20 years or 22 years. The one thing I want to point out here is we're dialoguing at OneAmerica about, our lifetime benefits. I'm a soapbox for offering lifetime benefits and letting your clients make the choice. But sometimes we're finding, and consumers are telling us, clients are telling us that lifetime benefits, because it doesn't have a dollar amount associated with it, that maybe it's not having the impact that we would want it to, as far as clients understanding what that means from a pure benefit standpoint. So this allows you to kind of talk in terms of, for these folks, if they claimed out, 20 years and 22 years, that cumulatively their policy would have paid out over $4 million in long-term care benefits. The numbers tend to resonate better. So we try to help you be able to tell the story of lifetime benefits, how much actually being able to be paid out sometimes helps with that story. And certainly at the time, that you're showing the illustrations. I mean, I'm sure many of you have your own sales presentations that you've cultivated or used over the years when taking them through. You could easily use this if you want to show them a OneAmerica option, because I don't think you need to show them anything else, frankly. Just keep going. What is it? Like I told you, it talks about home care, assisted living, adult daycare. Long-term care doesn't resonate very well with consumers from what we've heard. They don't like, what is long-term care? I've changed the vernacular a little bit, started using extended healthcare events. Okay, long illness, however you want to describe it, but this tells them what long-term care actually is. And then how do they access claims? Like, how do they get there? What happens? Here's all of the information and the number on this is the only number you need to call when a claim happens. If you're downloading the PDF and making this a part of their overall policy when it's issued, or something that they can keep, then it's right there. They don't have to look for it or tell their family where it is. Everything is right there in one piece. Talks about what claims is, what the claims concierge team does for them. Everything included there. And then it goes to the summary of the illustration, which is over here. They're 60 years old. They're in the state of Washington. That's how this was run. A $200,000 premium is what we ran to run this example. And it, again, projecting out their potential claim age and what that would look like on the total amount of long-term care benefit that they would have available to them. It's everything that the quote, we'd want the quote to tell you, or that you have to explain when you're kind of going through the illustration, going through the quote, in layman's terms, in terms that your clients can understand. And if you're new to selling long-term care insurance or to selling OneAmerica solutions, everything to make it easier for you to be able to explain what it is that you're showing them. Anyway, a fantastic tool. I can't speak more highly about it than this. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you take a look at it and see how you might be able to incorporate it in your business. So lastly, what I wanted to do is kind of, end our morning with, thank you for allowing me to kind of take you through the consumer survey and this fantastic insight tool, and reminding you Long-Term Care Awareness Month is in November. What I'm going to ask everybody is, it's just really simple, and it's just identify 3 clients. I would really love for you to rinse and repeat this throughout the year, but if no other time than right now, identify 3 clients that you haven't talked to about long-term care planning yet. Maybe they're your next 3 brand new prospects that you're going to be meeting with. Maybe they're 3 prospects that you talked to before and said, no, not now, not ready. Identify 3, whether that's individuals or 3 couples, that you're going to make a concentrated effort to reach out to about having a conversation about long-term care planning, because you believe it's that important that you want to implore to them that we need to have a conversation about the plan. You're not talking about insurance. If ultimately that you land on an insurance solution, awesome. But what I really want you to do is talk to them about the importance of having a plan. And one of my most prolific producers, he is one of the nicest men on the planet. He's super successful in his business and what he does. And he really just starts out with one question. And it's, if you were to have an extended healthcare event, an event that goes beyond what your Medicare or healthcare plans are going to pay for, what asset are you going to look to first to help continue to pay for your care? And that's it. He leaves it so that they can tell him, well, I have, this annuity sitting out there, or I have a CD, or I'm going to use my retirement account. And with however they answer the question, he's able to take that knowledge and say, well, what if I can do something better with that money? What if I can leverage that for you and buy you peace of mind, but more than where it's sitting today, and protect the rest of your assets in case that ran out and you still needed care? Are you interested? Do you want to have a conversation about what I'm talking about? And it's that simple. And I'm just going to, again, ask you, identify 3 clients, 3 couples, whatever makes the most sense for you, and just have the conversation, ask them what the plan is, and see if there's an opportunity for you to show them that there are a lot of solutions out there that they're probably not aware of, and that you probably can offer them something that's going to give them better, dollar for dollar, than what they have and where it sits. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. More to come from me, certainly, on long-term care planning. I put out a 2-week playbook, keeping it really simple, but I have 2 more weeks in the month, a playbook on long-term care awareness preparation. So super excited to be able to continue that and share that with all of you, and just appreciate being able to have the conversation and how important this is. Obviously, hopefully you can hear in my voice, I'm super passionate about long-term care planning. I've been doing this a long time. I've lived, unfortunately, too many personal experiences where there wasn't a plan, and that's really what I want everybody to do, is have a plan, have the conversation. I've definitely had it with my mom. I now know she, no matter what happens to her, she wants to stay at home. So whatever my brother and I have to do, whatever asset we need to tap into for her, she needs to stay home, and we're going to make that happen for her. And that's it. So we've had the conversation. wasn't an easy one to get to because she didn't want to talk about it at all. And we are now looking at the different assets that we can tap into and looking to see if there's a better option. Unfortunately, she's, beyond the age and health currently to be able to put a long-term care insurance solution in place. She does have an older CalPERS policy that can help supplement some of the care, but we've had the conversation, and I know that I certainly feel better about it now, knowing what we might be, in store for her. But 3 clients, have the conversation, see where it lands, and let us know. Let us know how it goes. Yeah, Bridget, they said no. They just said no. That actually turned into a really good conversation, and this is where it went. I'd love to hear some of the feedback because I like to be able to tell, what worked and what didn't to other, colleagues in the industry, because everybody's looking to see, how they can make their business successful, how they can make it work, and how they can, turn these conversations into actual planning. So that's what I wanted to say. So thanks, Dawn. I appreciate the opportunity this morning.
Well, we share the same thing. The passion for it is what you got to have, and people need to. They know when you're talking about something that you truly believe in, and you have yourself or have dealt with it. That opens eyes immediately. People know. That's just the facts. But like you said, that big thing, that extended healthcare event. What's the benefit? What asset you're going to use? That's huge. That's all you got to ask them. Let them talk to you after that. Let them. They just start talking too. That's the biggest thing. They'll just start, oh, yeah, I don't have this, I don't have anything. Or you just say, okay, we've got stuff to take care of that. Like you said, that's the easiest way and the simplest of questions, to put it that way. So it's just another tool in your box that you can use when you're talking to clients. There was just a couple questions. I know that we had. One was, are the OneAmerica plans partnership qualified? I don't believe so, but I wanted to make sure. That's the question there. That was one of the questions.
Yeah, they're not partnership certified. They are not partnership certified. Frankly, if that's a concern, yeah, we can run, when you run lifetime benefits, you kind of take, partnership protection is in the event that they run out of long-term care benefits or they exhaust their policy, that their assets are protected from a spend down in order to qualify for a state plan. If you run lifetime benefits, then you're kind of guaranteeing that they're never going to run out of benefits. So there's a way to, kind of ensure that. But yes, they're not partnership certified.
And great point. You said the lifetime benefits, and for the premiums, it's not that much difference from just an amount of benefits for so long or the lifetime. It's not that much of a difference. So definitely, if you're running quotes, make sure, or we'll talk to you about it too. For the premium difference, it's like 95% of the time that we end up looking at the lifetime benefits for the premium wise.
Yeah, it's not so exorbitantly more expensive that it's not a consideration. And clients don't know what they don't know. So sometimes, and I'm a guarantee person, I will pay more for a lifetime guaranteed benefit just simply because then I have peace of mind that it's there, and I'm perfectly fine with that. That's how I am as a consumer. And I think there's a lot of needs out there like that. So, yeah.
The only other thing, and it's it's been an ongoing thing, as we know what had happened in Washington. So I believe you know what I'm talking about when I bring this up, the long-term care tax that is coming in California, but it's kind of a sensitive subject. Have you heard anything other than what we've heard and just how we've been going about it?
No, and the long thing is, what we're talking about is AB 567 in California, the proposed legislation of a state-funded long-term care insurance plan via potentially an income and or payroll tax. The long and the short of it is, we don't know when, we don't know how, and we don't know what.
Exactly.
There's two parts. There's 2 parts to that. There was the feasibility report on plan design. There's a task force that was created to create that. That has been presented. By the end of this year, the actuarial report is supposed to be presented. And then at that point, it's up to the state legislation to determine if they want to put it to the floor for a vote, if they want to send it back to the task force for revision. So we don't know what is going to happen at the end of this year as far as what the state is going to do. There's a lot of external factors that could play into whether or not the state of California wants to try to push through this type of legislation now or not. What I believe is that I believe eventually it's going to come in California. I really don't know when. Don't know what the parameters are going to be. Don't know what the opt-out options may or may not be. What I am happy about is that the conversation about what is long-term care insurance and what is a long-term care plan is starting to become a little bit more prevalent here in California because of it. The state has certainly not been pleased with some financial professionals who've kind of tried to do some pressure tactics in making people make decisions, making consumers make decisions based upon, erroneous dates that they've said that the legislation is going to pass. The legislation hasn't even been formally proposed yet. So we need to just keep our eye on the ball, right? Like I said, Don, like the eye on the prize, the eye on the goal. Yep. What we do every day is long-term care planning. We know in the peripheral that it's likely that California would be the next state to implement something similar to what the state of Washington did. But at the end of the day, we need to do proper long-term care planning. And with a proper long-term care plan in place for any client that we're working with, I would go on record to say they would have the opportunity to opt out of any sort of state-funded plan, because we're not planning for tax evasion. We're planning for an extended health care event.
Exactly.
So there's a lot we don't know. It's definitely out there. The state has put, has slapped everybody's hands about how much you're talking about in definitives. So I'm very careful on purpose the words that I'm using. I still think we can talk about it. It's public record that it's out there, but we have no idea when, what, how, or what. We just need to keep our eye on the prize of what it is that we're ultimately trying to do, and that's have our clients protect their all of the things that we've mentioned before.
Yeah, protect the client, do what's best for them at all times.
Right.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great webinar, if you ask me. Well put together with information that. Especially that insight, that's huge, just that itself. But Bridget, I greatly appreciate you coming on, doing this webinar. As always, you do a great job, and it gives the agents out there knowledge, and knowledge is power to help out. And the passion we do for it is 100% why we do it. We know what it's about, we know what it's for, and it's all about helping the clients. And by doing that, we help everybody grow their business. So with that, unless you have anything else other than that, Bridget, we're going to close her down.
Nope, that's it. I appreciate the time. I really do.
All right. Well, everyone have a great day. If you have any questions, call us here at AIM 800-672-7202, and we can get a hold of Bridget if there's certain questions that we can't get through. But like I said, everyone have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.